Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion. This means greater coverage and analysis of international news, for it is no longer far away and foreign, but close at hand and local. It means greater attention to improved understanding of the news, as well as improved transmission. And it means, finally, that government at all levels must meet its obligation to provide you with the fullest possible information outside the narrowest limits of national security. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
It's Bob Croddy. I'm back. Hey, free and independent. This is what John F. Kennedy just said in this speech that I've played for a while. As people come on and join me, I'm hoping, but also in the future when people get a chance to digest what John F. Kennedy just said. The press had a special role, has a special role, and they have abandoned that role. Their role was to defend freedom. Their role was to tell us the truth, to find the problems that could be there in our government or in those who are willing to undermine our freedom, to expose it for what it is. And you know what? The Democrat Party in the media, which 80-90% are the Democrat background. They've done polls, many of them. They've contributed to the Democrat Party. They admit, in secret polling data that they are 80-90% Democrat. The CBS, NBC, CNN, they're not impartial. And these folks have continually been led down further and further to the left, more and more to the tune of socialism. Barack Obama over the last 8 years continued to 1 year after another keep pushing like the frog that's put in a pot to boil. They didn't even see it at first, but eventually the pot starts heating up and heating up and heating up until the frog is dead because it has been cooked alive. This media is not our friend. We need to let our friends know that, and if you're watching this video and if you're undecided or don't know what to believe anymore, that's part of what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to communicate with you to say, look, the media is in cahoots with the new Democrat Party. I call it the Obama New Socialist Democrat Party, and it's the Democrat Party in 2016 and 15 and 18, going into 18, has turned their back on freedom, and they've been overrun by leftists. I mentioned many times I grew up as a Democrat, and my family worked for the Democrat Party. I understand it quite well, the philosophies, and especially 20, 30, 40 years ago. They've been overrun, and that's why I brought that up, is not all Democrats are socialists. They've been overrun by the left. They've been overrun by people who do not believe in freedom anymore. Socialism, which is what Bernie Sanders is incompatible with freedom. Bernie Sanders has been promoting socialism throughout the whole Democrat primary. 30 years ago, no Democrat would have had this conversation in a primary. Now it's becoming more mainstream, this concept of socialism. Well, socialism, my friends, is incompatible by definition with freedom. Capitalism is capital, money, real estate, and resources in the hands of free people. Capital is capital in the hands of free people. That's what capitalism is. Socialism, by definition, is a political and economic theory of social organization that advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. Policy or practice based on political and economic theory of socialism and a traditional socialist state between overthrow of capitalism and the realization of communism. It's actually a Marxist term. So this is what the Democrat Party is promoting. And one way they're doing this is through division. Examples of where the new Democrat Party is undermining the U.S. Constitution and our freedom is the Second Amendment. You'll notice over and over again they're against the Second Amendment, which is the ultimate free expression of individualism. Freedom of speech. Antifa and these groups out in California are trying to shut down free speech. When people try to show up with a different point of view, they deny their ability with riots and violence. This is the face of many of the anarchists and people in the Democrat Party in 2017. They've denied us freedom of religion. They did that through Obamacare. In Obamacare, they could have put the Hyde Amendment in. They refused to do that. Obama and all the people that twisted every arm they could in the Senate and the House to get every Democrat they could possibly vote for Obamacare. And they passed it by 1 or 2 votes, both times, in the Senate and in the House. But some of the Democrats, a few of them, wanted the Hyde Amendment put in there. That would have protected people like the Little Sisters of the Poor or the people, business owners like Hobby Lobby. They would have had protections, but they denied that. Traditional amendment called the Hyde Amendment. They denied that and pushed Obamacare through anyhow, which many have looked at as a complete interference with freedom of religion. So whether it's freedom of religion, freedom of speech, or the Second Amendment, the Democrat Party is the problem. They're on the attack. They're trying to deny it. They're trying to shut it down. They're appointing judges to shut it down, to shut these things down, which have been historically part of our country and our freedoms. The Democrat strategy is to divide us. So it's kind of evil in many ways because they're trying to pit groups against each other. They're promoting racism to pit groups against each other. They are promoting the idea, and this is one of the reasons why I want to bring this video out tonight, is they are promoting the idea that people can come to this country. They're encouraging people to come to this country that don't care anything about freedom. People in South America or Central America who are socialist, who have a philosophy of socialism. They're encouraging them to come up to live off the system. They're encouraging refugees to come from the Middle East and through the Syrian refugee program, things of that nature. They're encouraging this. They're planting these people in places like Idaho or Missouri that are rural, and people that believe in Sharia law, for instance. Sharia law is more or less socialism. If you think about the religion in total, can you be a Muslim and be a freedom-loving American? I believe so. But if you're hell-bent on Sharia law, it's impossible to celebrate freedom because you're not free under Sharia law. So those who are dead set to have Sharia law, or those who are coming from across the southern border with socialism baked into their existence from the very beginning, they're invading our country. They're not coming like our forefathers came to looking for an opportunity, looking to be free, to embrace the American culture and system. They're coming to undermine us, invade us. And until we understand that these groups aren't historically like we've ever experienced. And we also need to come to the understanding that the Democrat Party wants this. The Democrat Party is promoting illegals to come across the border. They're opening open arms. They're promoting. If Hillary Clinton would have been elected, I've said this before the election, our country was over as we know it. Freedom would be over as we know it. And so, because you have hundreds of thousands, millions of people flooding across the southern border with no controls anymore. I mean, Hillary Clinton not caring at all. Increasing the Syrian refugees, sure, why not? Bring more of socialists in. Because they vote Democrat. Rural Idaho is being, they dropped in, airdropped people who are Sharia law type people into Idaho. Our electoral college is going to be out of balance because of the population growth and how things work. And they know this. They understand what they're doing. That's 2 senators in Idaho. You see? That is electoral college. It's not a lot, but it's a little bit more. Another red state gone. Another red state gone. And what I'm trying to say to my Democrat friends that are freedom-loving Americans, and of course any Republicans, anyone who's listening to me that's freedom-loving American, is it's not red or blue states. It's freedom at stake. And when you have these folks that don't give a damn thing about freedom, dropping in, being brought in the middle of the night at midnight. I saw videos. This guy drops in, comes to the airport. He's a good Samaritan. He's trying to help the refugees is what's happening. They're using the good spirit of America against us. So this guy shows up in a 15-passenger van type of thing at the airport, picks up a load of Middle East refugees that were just flown in the middle of the night, at midnight. This is under Obama, at the last year of Obama. He's in Missouri, and he starts to drive away from the airport, and he has an assignment of where to take them, and they're not being documented right. That was what the whole video was about. It was like real weird. They're not being documented, like you would process, like you would think. So they get in he's driving these folks across Missouri, and they start becoming rowdy and unhinged and out of control. It's so bad that this man who's trying to help them jumps out of the van. I mean, he stops the van, he gets out, he's gone. The lady who was putting on this video says, and she was meaning well, she was part of the refugee people, the help group, the receiving group. And she turned on it because she's like, this is not healthy. They're not being processed right. They're not being accounted for right. They're coming into St. Louis or Missouri in the middle of the night. They're being, driven across the state, and they jump out and they run to Minnesota. And no one can account for them. This is the type of stuff that the Democrat Party has been doing. And what they're trying to do, ultimately, and the judges that they appoint are more than willing to help them do it, is one-party control, centralized power. If you can bring in enough people from around the world to outvote the Republican Party or conservatives or freedom-loving Americans. We have to stop this. We have to take control of our country. We need to call it out for what it is. So, a lot of people are concerned about, the talks about DACA. I was in San Antonio and I talked to a young woman who was about 20 years old. And she was here ever since she's been about 1 or 2 years old. She's not a documented, makes her a legal resident of this country. But she said, I've gone to school here. I don't know anything different. This has always been my home. And I looked her in her eyes and I thought, you know what? Part of me just said, there's a real person here that isn't necessarily to blame, and they spoke perfect English, the whole 9 yards. So, but at the same time, their parents broke the law. And we can't reward people. We might be able to do something. I don't know what that is. I'm not an expert with immigration policy. But maybe there's something we can do that there's a compromise of sorts that there's something we can do. But we can't make them U.S. citizens. And we can't have the magnet U.S. citizen type of situation that draws people from South America or Central America into our country just for the points I've just made. It will be the end of us as a country. So we cannot allow whatever compromise or whatever agreement we come up with to undermine freedom in this country, to have some magnet that draws in people from all over Central America and South America up into our country. It has to stop. We have to stabilize the southern border. We have to stabilize the refugee flowing into our country, who these people are and what they are. The Democrat Party could care less. And, that's my overall message. And it's sad. It's very sad that the Democrat Party would rather take control of this country entirely and give our freedom away at the same time. It's sad that we've come to this point. And we need to talk to our friends, our relatives, and let them know the truth. Because the mainstream media is not doing it. They're trying to make it out that we're racist and all this. Stephen Colbert says, racism at the Trump events and skinheads everywhere. I was part of the Trump campaign the entire time from Indiana. Never saw one racist, one skinhead. Never saw anyone in the back rooms talking about how we're going to organize a big racist moment, a racism event or something. It didn't happen. It's zero. It's a big zero. I have African-American friends. I have Hispanic friends who work for Trump with me every step of the way. It's been a lie by the media. They continue to lie because they're all Democrats, like I pointed out earlier, 80, 90% of them. The media has sold us out. And we need to share these types of videos with our friends. We need to dig up the truth. We need to have more media outlets that are conservative or telling just tell the truth, fair and balanced. I'm okay with that. But when you have President Obama going to Cuba with his whole U.S. envoy in Cuba, stand in front of the Che Memorial, who Che is the memorial for Che, C-H-E Che, you can Google who that is. He's a communist revolutionary who killed freedom-loving people. That's who Che is. So where was the media? Freedom. This is not an image that we want to be seen around the world. Our U.S. president standing in front of a Che Memorial. Che, a man who was in charge of a prison who killed freedom-loving people while they were imprisoned. They couldn't even defend themselves in prison. Not only did Che kill freedom-loving people while they were imprisoned, he went down to Bolivia and led a communist revolution. This is who Barack Obama decided not just himself to have photo ops with, but he lined up the entire U.S. envoy in Cuba, laid them all out, and took photos with them and with Che Memorial right behind him. It's a huge memorial to Che. My friends, there was no media. There is no media about the Hyde Amendment, about Obamacare. There was no accountability with Reverend Wright. There is no accountability to any of this. If a Republican were to just bark the wrong words, just say the wrong, twist their words, like that stupid thing where Trump put a tweet out or something and didn't make sense. Everyone's all over that. But the Che Memorial and Cuba, communism, socialism, Obamacare, uprooting the capital in the hands of free people. No, there's not much of a conversation. Nothing to see here, people. Keep moving, keep walking. Nothing to see here. It's all good. So yes, the Democrat Party is undermining the Second Amendment. Yes, the Democrat Party is undermining freedom of speech. Yes, the Democrat Party is undermining freedom of religion. Just today I saw in the U.S. Senate hearings where they asked the woman who's sitting there, and I don't know exactly what she was, maybe I should know, but I don't know what she was trying to be a part of with the Trump administration, but they asked, are you an Orthodox Catholic? I've been Catholic all my life, 12 years of Catholic school, so there you have it. We're not Orthodox Catholics and this Catholic and that. We're Catholics. But they're trying to divide people. The Democrat Party, are you an Orthodox Catholic? We got to get to the bottom of this. Do you really believe? Are you a real Protestant? Are you a real Baptist? Are you a real Jewish person? Do you really believe? Because we can't have that as the new Democrat Party. Are you an Orthodox Catholic? That is a ridiculous question on the U.S. Senate floor. And they're smug, and they think, hey, you know what? That's a legitimate question. They've promoted this Antifa, and I'm not going to go that much longer tonight, so there's that. But they're promoting this Antifa thing. Anti-fascism is what it stands for. Well, they're fascist. The people who are supposed to be against fascism are trying to shut down freedom of speech around the country. They wear masks because they're afraid to show their face. Black Lives Matter has proven time and time again that they're a hate group. Antifa also. Yet people are there good people involved with either of those two groups? I would say yes. Are there good people who believe they're against racism and that's all they really know about it? Yes. But both groups have consistently shown that they're hate groups. And they should be, just like the KKK, they should be looked at as a hate group. Let's have a different anti-racism group. I'll join it. But I'm not going to join a hate group. And the Democrat Party, the people in the organizations of political minds are doing this on purpose. In St. Louis, over the last 24 hours, they already had Black Lives Matter signs printed up. Now, I've been politically active all my life. And I've ran some campaigns. I've had signs printed. There's money involved with signs being printed. It takes time. It takes effort to get the whole thing. It's not something that's done in 24 hours or 12. I mean, you're going to think ahead and you're going to have your signs because you got to have. There's ink. There's vendors involved. They already have their signs. Their signs were, in their hands, probably at 9 o'clock in the morning, before the the judgment came out or whatever. I'm not an expert. I understand what happened, but I'm not going to get into all that in St. Louis. But the Democrat Party is using these types of groups to divide our country. They're using racism to divide our country. They're hiring people I've seen videos where KKK guys show up to Tea Party events, and people are like, who are you, and what are you doing here? And he's just walking around, and it's real awkward because you could tell that it was for a photo op. This person was not part of was not invited and part of the process. They're renting racists, and I've seen it more than once. They're to promote racism, at Trump events or whatever. It's ridiculous. They're bringing people together to say, okay, the Trump people are violent in Chicago or San Jose, right? So when the Trump people come out with the little red hats, they're supposed to be violent, and they get their little red hats, and they're coming out. This little woman, this young woman comes out, and she's got her hat, she's happy and everything else. She finds herself pinned against a hotel, being egged, and people are beaten down the street, not by Trump people. It wasn't the Trump people violent and being all that. It was the other side meeting them. And then the police, whether it's Charlottesville, there's reports, whether it's in Chicago, there's reports, or San Jose, that the blue city Democrat mayors say, stand down. There's reports on it. I don't know, if exactly what's going on. But when the police are standing there while people are physically being assaulted and not doing anything, it makes you wonder. So why? Because conflict and friction help the Democrat Party. Racism locks down the brown and African American vote. They desperately need to lock that vote down. If they don't have that vote locked down and people can't see beyond this crap, then they're going to lose. The Democrat Party is going to lose big time. They promote division between women and men. Women are supposed to hate men. I mean, there are all types of reasons. They can give you a list of 10 reasons why women should hate men. They could give you a list of 10 reasons why African Americans should hate white people. They breed hatred for political gain. Why? Because they're trying to get one-party control. They're trying to take away our freedom, and they're trying to put socialism, government control. Someone said, I read somewhere that if they can divide us up in a bunch of different ways, then they're going to definitely have to have a strong central government to control it all. Okay? Well, what we should be focused on is what unites us as a people, and that's freedom. Some of the worst socialists in world history have been white people. I don't care what color you are. Brown, black, red, white. What unites us in the United States of America is freedom. And we cannot forget that. And socialism, my friends, and communism, and the monarch system all stand against freedom. So we need to understand what we're up against. So I wanted to put this video out here. I want to invite you all to join us at Trump People's Grassroots National Campaign. You can search us, Trump People's National Grassroots Campaign, or any of our other regional Facebook pages. We have regions in Indiana, Ohio, Michigan. We have a region in New England, Maine, and New Hampshire, all that area. We have a region in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Virginia. That's a region. We have a region in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. That's a region. We also have the last region is Wisconsin, Iowa, and Wisconsin. So if you go to the Trump People's Grassroots National Campaign, you'll see the admins have recommended us a bunch of different groups to help us organize. Find your region, join the national campaign, and help us fight back. Help us tell the truth, because the media is not. And just like John F. Kennedy said, they had a special responsibility to report on Obama and Che Memorial, or Reverend Wright, or any of these other crazy things that have come about over the last 20 years. The media is silent when it comes to the leftist, and they're more than willing to put us, paint us out to be racist, mean-spirited, hateful people. And they're lying. They're lying to America for the quest for power, for the quest of a centralized power state, for the quest of socialism and even communism, so that they can all have their big houses in Washington, D.C. We must deny them of this. We must organize. And I want to stay with me on this because we're not a part of the NRA. You know, many of us appreciate the NRA. We're supporters of the NRA, but so we're not affiliated with the NRA. But I think this pretty much reviews what I just said.
They use their media to assassinate real news. They use their schools to teach children that their president is another Hitler. They use their movie stars and singers and comedy shows and award shows to repeat their narrative over and over again. And then they use their ex-president to endorse the resistance, all to make them march, make them protest, make them scream racism and sexism and xenophobia and homophobia, to smash windows, burn cars, shut down interstates and airports, bully and terrorize the law-abiding, until the only option left is for the police to do their jobs and stop the madness. And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse for their outrage. The only way we stop this, the only way we save our country and our freedom, is to fight this violence of lies with the clenched fist of truth. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
I'm going to put that link on the bottom of this video so you can see that for yourself. Join us at our Trump campaign. This is our official Sound That Trump song that many of you have heard. Join us. People's Grassroots National Campaign for Donald Trump. And I look forward to seeing you there. We will not stop fighting for our freedom. Join us.
We're gonna fight, fight, fight. We're gonna keep the faith. We're gonna make.
I'll put this on the link at the bottom of this too. Y'all take care.